Right, following on from the riser video I just did, someone else asked me how to make a rewind and a deck stop sound in Ableton. So let's get into it. Okay, so first of all, we're going to import a drum break because that's obviously what you're going to be using to do the deck stop or to be doing the rewind as if you were on a turntable. So I'm just going to drag my aim and break onto a MIDI track. And as you can see here we've got an Amen. Okay, so we might just duplicate that a couple of times. So we've got a few bars worth. And we're going to bounce it down to audio, the same way we did with the riser if you've seen that video. So on this audio channel, we will change to resampling. And we will arm it by pressing record on the track. And we'll put the play head to the start of the clip. And then we'll just record. Okay, so now we've got a clip. We will add in another MIDI track and we will add in a sampler. Again, same sort of thing we did with the riser. So I'll chuck a sampler in. I'll just get rid of that. And we'll drag the drum break that we've sampled onto the sampler. We'll create a MIDI clip and we'll just draw in the break to play on C3. So if we just solo this now. Okay, so the drum break is there. Now essentially what we need to do is, if you think about what a turntable is doing when you're doing a deck stop sound, for example, you're usually hitting the stop button of your turntable when either the kick or the snare is playing, and it will make that pitch down sort of sound. So we're just going to emulate this for the deck stop. So what we will do is we will have to go to the MIDI tab of the sampler. We will set the range to 24 semitones. Again, same thing we did with the riser. And we shall draw in an envelope to control the pitch of the sample. So if I go back to the MIDI clip and I go to the envelopes tab, so we'll create the first pitch point at 0, and then roughly where the snare is, let's see, we're on that line there, so I'm guessing that's probably about here maybe on the second beat. We'll just make the pitch drop down. Okay, it's not quite right. Maybe it's there instead. So there you go. So if you make it pitch down from 0 down to that's -2 octaves at the point where your snare's going to hit, then you'll get the sort of sound that you want. And obviously then you just resample it and chop it up. So I guess we'll just do that just for the purposes of this demonstration. So I'll add in an audio track. I will set it to resampling. I'll turn the other one off. So from here we'll arm this track, and it's the only one I'm resampling, yes. We'll hit record. So there we go. I just turn up this sample a bit so we can see it. If I solo it, you can see that we've got the deck stop sound in here. And then you literally would just go, right, I only want this part and I only want that part. And you might zoom in a little and edit it properly. And there you go, there you have your deck stop. Now let's say we want to make a rewind. Now it's going to be a same sort of thing on the envelope, but in this instance what we probably want to do is we want to have the thing in reverse, because if you think about when you're doing a rewind on a turntable, you usually are spinning the record backwards, so we'll have to enable reverse on the sample. And then we just have to draw in the pitch. So if I go back to the I go back to the sampler, go back to the sample tab, and you'll see that there's this reverse button here. So if I turn that on, it's essentially going to play the sample in reverse. And what we'll do is, because there's this empty tail at the end of the sample, which is probably where playback's going to start from, I would imagine. So I'll move this starter point to the start of the last sample. That looks okay. So in theory, if I solo this track, yeah, so we can see that it starts at the end and plays in reverse. Okay, so that's the first part sorted. So the next thing we have to do is just draw in a pitch for the envelope to make it stop, essentially, just the same way you would with a rewind, I guess. So let's do that. Let's go in here, go to envelopes. Let's see, why is that not opened? Alright, so we're on pitch bend. Now, typically when we're doing a rewind, like I'm thinking about the activities of it in my head, usually you kind of spin it like at high speed at the start of it, don't you? So it's going to be high pitched at the start and it's going to slow towards the end, right? Because you probably also turn the deck off too, if I imagine it from my old DJing days. So let's see how this goes. I guess that's it. That's perfect. And that's how you make a rewind.